Earlier today, I was sitting back thinking about how the majority of the videos I create involve murders. While many people find mob murders exciting and are detached with no emotion, on the flip side, the pain still remains with the loved ones. This is a reality, as humans, we must never lose sight of. Many years ago, a friend and I were on trial facing murder charges. We were young and full of ourselves, especially while in court. But through all of that bravado, the one thing that remains embedded in my mind is the pain on the faces of the victim's family, specifically his mother. That woman will forever be in pain as a result of my actions. If we were able to place all the victims of mob related murders side by side, they would stretch for miles and miles, an unfortunate reality. When it comes to these type of murders, people often justify them by offering the following: he deserved it, or he had it coming, or it was payback for all the people he killed, or words along those lines. Again, people are desensitized because they have no relation to the victims, which is understandable. When something doesn't affect us or our lives, there's not a great deal of care involved. Pulling the trigger is the easy part. Well, at least for some people it is. In most cases, there's not much thought that goes into the wide range of devastating effects. On March 13, 2019, when Frankie Cali was killed outside of his house, the first thing on most people's minds was mob hit. And it turned out to be anything but that. Even so, news of his death excited those who were fans of the mob. But what's important to note is nobody gave any thought to his wife and kids, who were home at the time and heard the gunshots that killed their loved one. When the bomb ignited under Frankie DeChico's car on April 13, 1986, it was major news. An underboss had been blown up on a Brooklyn street in broad daylight. Do you think anyone thought of how that tragic news would affect DeChico's family? Bruno Facciolo was brutally murdered on August 24, 1990. And like the above mentioned, not many gave thought to his family or their loss, coupled with their learning that a canary was stuffed in his mouth. But more tragically, before he died, he begged to speak to his daughter one last time. Obviously, that request was denied, but can you imagine how his daughter must have felt after hearing that? In conclusion, many people find mob murders fascinating. To each his own. People like what they like. But what I always found surprisingly disappointing is that since the 2013 murder of Michael Meldish, the mob killing people is essentially history, which comes to the disappointment of many people. With that said, the families of these victims are innocent. Many still have no closure, especially where cold cases are involved. We're all humans at the end of the day. Sometimes I believe people lose sight of that. So as far as the families of victims, who are the ones who suffered through all these tragedies, I feel we always need to be mindful of that reality.